The crowd is asking if BlackRock entering crypto will make the price go up. That is the wrong question. It's an amateur's question. The real question isn't if they will move the market, but how they are silently re-architecting the entire system to control the flow of trillions. They didn't just buy a ticket to the game, they bought the stadium. And the quiet part is, real-world assets on-chain doubled to 34 billion. BIS and central banks are drafting interoperable ledgers. ETFs prime the pump. Tokenization is the pipework. I've seen greed, collapse, and liquidity droughts. But this isn't chaos. It's choreography. Behind closed doors, the rules are being rewritten in code. Who decides when liquidity moves? And who profits when it can move 24/7? If BlackRock's billions are now pulsing through Ripple's rails, what happens when the rest of Wall Street follows, and liquidity itself learns to move without permission? Tokenization isn't hype, it's capital migration. Over $34 billion in real-world assets now live on-chain, with projections climbing to 2 to 4 trillion by 2030, RWA.XYZ BCG City. Institutions are already moving. BlackRock's Boydell and Franklin Templeton's Benji. This isn't theory. It's the replacement of paper with digital identifiers and custodian reconciliation with ledger verification. When transactions settle in seconds, spreads collapse, counterparty risk fades, and price discovery accelerates to machine speed. Those who own the rails extract value from every flow. The rest become the flow. No single chain will dominate, and hybrids will coexist, but the direction is set. Finance is testing distributed ledgers at scale, and whoever combines speed, compliance, and liquidity will control trillions in settlement traffic. The real question is which protocols are already in the plumbing, and which are still dreaming of entry. This was not a partnership, it was a structural realignment. September 23, 2025, marks the day that BlackRock, the largest asset manager on Earth, quietly hardwired its tokenized treasuries into Ripple's liquidity system. Through Securitize, holders of BlackRock's BUIDL and VanEck VBIL can now convert their shares into RLUSD, Ripple's regulated stablecoin, around the clock. It sounds technical, but it's political. The ability to redeem, settle, and re-enter markets 24/7 without touching a traditional bank. That's control at the protocol level. Together, they've just automated the liquidity cycle of Wall Street. You can smell it, control shifting under the surface. The same banks that once laughed at blockchain are now routing their blood flow through it. Ethereum got the spotlight, Ripple got the plumbing. And in every crisis I've lived through, it's the plumbing that decides who survives when liquidity thins and spreads widen. If the $2 trillion tokenization wave is now pulsing through Ripple's rails, what happens when central banks, custodians, and sovereign funds start routing their flow through the same corridors? The moment that switch flips, liquidity won't just move, it will obey new masters. A message from the core is clear. BIS and central banks are not theorizing for sport. They are constructing a financial architecture where tokenized treasuries, stablecoins, and digital currencies interoperate. Settlement becomes programmable. The entities that hold the right keys, the bridges between fiat balance sheets and on-chain liquidity, will charge a toll on every crossing. In this environment, the asset is not only what you hold, it is what your systems can settle, audit, and route across networks at machine speed. Ripple's stack was built to suit this. It was built for the least glamorous, most durable part of the problem: predictable settlement, transparent state, and clean integration with legacy rails. That's where institutions adopt first. Do not confuse a new user interface with a new regime. This is not a skin. It is a rail change. When the center decides to rewrite the corridors, there is no debate. There is compliance or irrelevance. The entities that hold the right keys, the bridges between fiat balance sheets and on-chain liquidity, will charge a toll on every crossing. Everyone else becomes throughput. If the public sector is drafting the blueprint, what happens when the private giants pivot their balance sheets to the same rails? While the rails debate plays out, another infrastructure story is moving behind the scenes. Let me introduce Unic, the platform that's changing the game in crypto trading. Unic's OTC exchange has already processed over $1.3 billion in OTC trading volume, giving both buyers and sellers the flexibility they need. With over 5.5 million active users and 500K plus followers on X, it's a platform built for scale. Please note that this is not financial advice. Check the link in description for more info. BlackRock did not whisper. It stepped into tokenization and said the quiet part out loud. Digitized stocks, bonds, ETFs, real estate on distributed ledger rails. This is not a boutique fund experimenting in a sandbox. This is the world's largest asset manager putting weight on the new plumbing. Understand the sequence. First come the products, ETFs. Then comes the infrastructure, tokenization platforms. Finally comes the repricing of the underlying assets as the pipes deliver scale and speed no off-chain workflow can match. When a 13.4 trillion AUM allocator turns its wheel, the street does not argue. It rotates. BlackRock is not hunting nickels. It is positioning for control of the pipes. Once balance sheets are tokenized, the floodgates do not open, they detonate. Volume migrates, fees follow. The firms stuck on paper will beg the ones already on code for access. If the juggernaut standardizes the rails, how will governments cage the speed without killing the flow? And who already speaks the regulator's language? Signals do not get cleaner than this. New York City created an Office of Digital Assets and Blockchain Technology. The most policed financial city on the planet just moved from ban to building. This is how public systems absorb technology. They do not cheerlead speculation. They codify gates, standards, and interfaces. They build a front door and decide who gets a key. This unlocks the channel institutions need: policy alignment, procurement, partnerships, and pathways to production. When governments build official bridges, the market looks for protocols that already fit the requirements: safety, traceability, auditability, and integration with legacy systems. Protocols with decade-long track records working with banks, compliance-first design, and regulatory clarity like XRP are positioned to benefit when these frameworks solidify. Systems evolve the same way every time. First, they reject you. Then, they study you. Finally, they build infrastructure around you. The entities that spoke compliance language early, that built for auditability, that designed for integration with legacy workflows, now become default options when governments open procurement channels. Everyone else pays a toll for the privilege of joining the corridor after the standards are set. This is a quiet power move. As the legal hallway closes around the new infrastructure, the market will wake up to find the rails already swapped. At that point, XRP is not a trade, it is part of the machinery. Quick update on Unic. Their IDO for the UN token is live. The project markets a low FDV approach, referral rewards, and NFT perks for early participants. They present themselves as an on-chain OTC liquidity layer, aiming to capture pre-market and institutional flows. Again, not financial advice. Check the link in the description for Unic's token page and white paper before deciding. The old system is dissolving in real time, and those who understand the rails will rule the next cycle. Ripple, BlackRock, and programmable liquidity aren't theory, they're architecture. Don't just watch the change. Own the knowledge behind it. Subscribe to Wealthy Wise Finance for insider clarity before the herd sees the flood.